Welcome to the Online Success Journey Podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey Podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 293 and you will want to subscribe right now and ensure you'll never miss a journey. The entrepreneurs that join me each week reveal steps they took on their journey to success, and these steps reveal a path you can take as well. Joining us today is Mike Rhodes, CEO and founder of AgencySavvy, WebSavvy, and co-author of the world best-selling book on Google Ads, The Ultimate Guide to Google Ads. His award-winning digital marketing agency, WebSavvy. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Patience. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you for coming. My audience are excited to hear your story, but just starting by telling us one thing we are going to learn from you today that is going to help us on our journey to success.
Well, I guess it depends where the conversation goes. I imagine we'll talk a little bit about Google Ads, which is a wonderful tool for growing a business. So if you need to get more leads, more customers, more profit in your business, then it is a great tool for that. Whether you're selling physical products and you have an e-commerce business, or whether your website is designed to generate leads for your business, it works for both. Maybe we'll talk about AI and machine learning and where all of that is going, in which case we can learn about the robots that are coming and how they're not going to take all of the jobs the way that the press and Hollywood would have you believe. And who knows, maybe we'll talk about parenting, in which case I've got nothing useful to add to the conversation at all. But I love my kids. But yes, parenting advice, don't ask me for that one.
Wow. So I can't wait to hear all about that. But let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my audience a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your own agency?
Yeah, I grew up wanting to be a helicopter pilot, of all things. When I was 6 years old, I saw this program on TV and I thought, that looks cool. I want to do that. And I had this dream all through childhood. I actually flew an aircraft before I could drive a car. I actually learned to fly up in Preston, flying over Blackpool Tower, because I grew up in the UK. I've only been in Australia for the last 20 years or so. And then when I was in my early 20s, I was in Hawaii for the summer. I had a working visa for America, and through a bizarre set of circumstances, I ended up working in Hawaii for the summer. And I was in Waikiki on the beach, and there were just these helicopters flying around the whole time. And I thought, yeah, why not? Why not do it now? So I got the yellow pages out, because that's how old I am, and I called every helicopter company in Honolulu. I got myself an interview the next day and I talked myself into a job. I think the reason they gave me a job was because I said, you don't need to pay me. And they, what? So I'm going to work here all summer, but you don't need to pay me. Instead, I just want you to teach me how to fly those things. And they did. So I learned to fly helicopters flying around Honolulu and the volcanoes of Maui and the sea cliffs of Molokai. Absolutely wonderful. I went back to England, finished university, and not long after that, I ended up working for Lord Hanson and Hanson Aviation. It's the most prestigious helicopter company in Europe. And we had clients like, the Queen and Princess Diana and Michael Schumacher and Bill Gates, and my highlight of my career, Boyzone. Yeah, back in the 90s, they were a thing. And what I learned through that whole experience was that I did not want to spend the rest of my life in aviation. Every single one of our pilots, to a man, and unfortunately they were all men, they could not wait to retire. They had been in the military, they'd come out, and this aviation world was getting so restrictive. The rules were getting worse and worse and worse every year. And they referred to themselves as drivers. They were basically posh taxi drivers. It may sound very exciting to fly up to the Lake District and pick up Tom Cruise and fly him back down to London. But the reality of it is you're sitting in a field at 5 o'clock in the morning. You get a phone call saying, yeah, he's on his way, spin up the rotor. So you turn everything on. And then you get another phone call going, actually, they've decided to shoot for another 2 hours. Could you just hang on and wait there? And you're sitting in a field in the dark, trying to get a little bit of sleep, waiting for somebody to pop in. And then, you know, the guys would say, yeah, they occasionally they say hello and they jump in the back and you fly them home. So it's really not very glamorous at all. They were posh taxi drivers. And I thought, I do not want to do this for the rest of my life. I would rather be the guy sitting in the back, drinking the champagne and getting flown around. That seems much more exciting. And so not long after that, I did leave the UK. I emigrated to Australia. I got a little bit distracted by New Zealand. I went for 3 weeks. I stayed for 3 years and I started my first business there. I guess I always knew I would have my own business one day, but I started my first business there. I built it up over 18 months, sold that, moved to Sydney. And through another long sequence of bizarre events, I was consulting and coaching to business. I've always loved the business of business. And so I was helping these businesses and trying to systemize them and trying to grow them. And then I saw this presentation on Google AdWords, it was called back then, by this guy called Perry Marshall, who is now the co-author on our book. And he was talking about this incredible tool where you only showed ads to people that were searching for exactly what you had to sell. And you only paid for those ads if somebody was interested enough to click on your little ad and come through to your website. And I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. All these businesses I've been talking to, they're doing letterbox drops and yellow pages ads, maybe a bit of radio, and they have no idea what's working. They have no idea how to grow their business in a repeatable, systematic, predictable way. This tool seems incredible. I rushed back to my mastermind. I tried to teach everybody that I could find about this tool. And for every 10 people I'd speak to, 9 of them said, mate, I don't care how it works. Just do it for me, would you? And so I started doing it for them. I started swapping time for a case of beer and a round of golf. And before long, people were saying, look, please, can you do this properly for me? We need this. Please, will you do it? Please, can I pay you money so that you do this for my business? I was a little bit slow on the uptake, Patience. It took me a little while to realize that I could actually charge money for this rather than just swapping it for cases of beer. But yeah, that's pretty much how the agency was born 15 years ago. And we've grown a bit since then.
Wow, what a journey, what a ride. I hope you enjoyed it.
It has been a fun journey. It's odd though, when you look back, you can see how the dots line up and you can see how that led to that, led to that, led to that. And it's kind of obvious looking back, but at the time you have absolutely no idea what lies ahead. And I would say that to your listener, whether you're 15 or 25 or 35 or 55, you do not really know what the next 10 years holds or 20 years holds. Like the next 3 months, maybe 12 months, pretty clear, but it could go anywhere. So don't limit yourself at all by thinking like, oh, this is probably the path I'm going to be on, because life's weird. It will wander off on some strange tangents, a bit like me when I talk. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, thank you for sharing.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm. You really loved moving to New Zealand, Australia, and from you can enjoy all these rides. But why do you do what you do?
I love growing businesses. And I've realized over my journey that a big part of that actually is I just love seeing people grow. I love those conversations where you see the light bulb go on and someone goes, oh, you mean, oh, right. So I've realized I'm a teacher at heart. I did pre-COVID love traveling around the world and speaking on stages and teaching this stuff. I tried to do it back then, 15, 16, 17 years ago, teaching everybody that would listen about this thing called Google AdWords. and discovered that, yeah, there's nothing more frustrating than trying to teach someone that doesn't want to be taught. So now I've got better at understanding who wants to be taught and who just wants the result. And we just do that for them. But I do it because I love the business of business. I think there are so many wonderful businesses out there that they've got a great idea. They're rushing around. They're wearing the 12 hats that a business owner wears every day, just trying to get stuff done and growing the business, again, in that sort of repeatable fashion that a good Google Ads account can bring to a business. That's the last thing that they want to be bothered with day in, day out. And they certainly don't have time to log into this confusing machine and know which button to press and which dial to turn. So it's just, we love just taking that away from a business so that they can get on with running the business that they wanted to create and wanted to, bring this idea or product or service into the world. They can just get on and do that. And we can just take care of the mundane bit of sending more people across to the business. It's very satisfying.
Let's put man aside. How do you know you are successful in your new venture?
That's a really good question. I think success differs for everyone. So there's this guy, Dean Jackson, for me, one of the best marketers on the planet. And he taught this exercise many, many years ago. So you get a piece of paper out, and at the top of the piece of paper, you write, I know I'm being successful when, and you come up with a whole bunch of ideas of what is success for you, because it's different for everybody. For some people, it's a big number in the bank. For others, it's toys and houses and cars. For me, it's time with family. I know I'm being successful when I am playing with my daughters and fully present, and the phone is in a different room. And I'm very lucky that happens quite a lot. I get home for dinner with my family pretty much every night. It's been a little crazy the past few weeks, so that hasn't happened 5 nights a week. But most nights it is. And on the weekends, I don't work on weekends. That's sacred time. I don't really ever work in evenings. I usually try and get home by about 5:30-ish most days. And it's time with family, with my wife, with my girls. We've got a birthday next week. Little Frankie's turning 7. Her big sister turns 10 a couple of weeks later. It's just that for me is success. It's hanging out with them and yes, being able to, have wonderful experiences with them and being able to go on holiday with them. We're very lucky in that regard. At least we used to go on holidays, it's a little different now, but it's not, for me, it's not about the stuff. It's not about the things. I mean, I don't own a watch. I had a boys' weekend last weekend and we were chatting, and one of the guys has got like a dozen watches and one of them's like 15 grand or something. And I have no interest in collecting things. I just want to have experiences with friends, with family. And for me, that's success. Yeah.
You've been in business for a long time. What have you learned from business as a whole?
That's a big question, Patience. And yes, I have been in business a long time. What have I learned? I've learned that folly of passion can be bad advice. There is a wonderful, wonderful book by Cal Newport. He's a really interesting, smart guy. The book is called So Good They Can't Ignore You, which is a quote from the comedian Steve Martin. And the advice in there is don't follow your passion, but figure out what's interesting to you and what you're very good at and what people are going to pay for. Get very, very good at that. And then when you get very, very good at that, so picture that thing being a circle. Getting very, very, very good at that is working your way to the edge of the circle. At the edge of the circle, that's mastery. And at the edge of the circle, you get to peek over the edge of the circle, peek over the fence and see what's just beyond and see what's coming and get passionate about that is his advice. And I love it because that's the rare and valuable skills. That's the stuff that other people aren't seeing. That's the stuff that very few people in the world are going to spend the time to master and then start to see, oh, this is coming. Like, that's the time to figure out what your passion is. but don't just start with, oh, I kind of like this thing, so I'm passionate about skateboarding, so I'll start a business around that. But figure out mastery first and then get passionate about it. But oh gosh, I guess there's a ton of stuff. But yes, doing work that you love to. Everybody has something they are really, really good at and they like to do. And it took me the longest time to learn that, of if there's something that you're not good at and something that you don't like to do, get it off your plate and give it to somebody else, because somebody else loves doing that. Somebody else loves doing paperwork. I hate paperwork and detail, but somebody is going to love it. So give them the opportunity to do something that they love. Get that off your plate. You'll have more energy because of that. And basically delegate everything except genius. So in other words, delegate everything that you're not genius level at or could be genius level at. And forget that whole advice from school of work on your weaknesses. Oh, you're very weak over here. We need to improve that. We'll improve it just enough so it's not a danger to you, but instead work on your strengths and get better and better at your strengths. Become genius level at something. And then you're always going to have fun. You're always going to have skills that other people want and need. And you're going to have a much more interesting life.
What are you still doing in the way you work that you just know you have to stop doing?
Oh, blimey. My first thought is around parenting. I'm still trying to be a parent that is in control of their children. And I know I have to let go of that as they start to become teenagers. I'm just going to have to let go of control. It's funny, we've just done this big webinar series, myself and my co-authors, Perry Marshall and Brian Todd. We've just done this big series of education where I've been jumping on a call once a week with all of these business owners from around the world. And the whole sort of premise of that series was, if you are running a Google Ads account the same way you were 3 years ago, you're doing it wrong, because it changes so fast. So it's kind of related to your question. And that world changes so fast that if you're hanging on and still doing things the way you were not that long ago, then you're doing it wrong. So because of that, because I live in that world and I tend to live in the future, I need to be more present. That's another thing I need to do better. But I do tend to sort of live 6 to 12 months in the future. I love all the stuff that's coming, machine learning, AI, all of that future stuff. I don't have a clue about the stuff that's 20 years away. I don't have any idea how I can help my clients be more profitable by talking about asteroid mining. It's fascinating, but I have no idea how to help them make money from that. So I love the stuff that's 6 months to a year, maybe 2 years away. And my job is sort of running over the next few hills, seeing what's coming, and then bringing that knowledge back and helping them implement that in their business. That's really what I love to do. So my world is always changing. So I don't think I get stuck in that sort of hanging on to old ways of doing things too often. But I'm sure you should ask my wife that question. She would be much better at giving you a long list of things that I can improve.
I bet she would. Okay. Tell my audience about the magic moment, the day suddenly all went right for you.
Oh, wow. You got some really good questions, Patience. I like this. You know what? The first thing that pops to mind is I'm snowboarding down a mountainside. It's in New Zealand. My phone rings. I stop and sit down on the snow, pull out my phone, and it's Rex. And Rex says, "We've chosen you." And my heart stopped. This is actually like, I've got goosebumps just thinking about this moment. So Rex was the president of the golf club, which is immaterial to the story, but he was. And he became my landlord. He was the guy that phone call set my first business in motion. There were 4 of us, I believe, going for this little spot on Shotover Street in the middle of Queenstown in New Zealand. And I'd walked around it with him and I'd told him my plans and what I wanted to do with that business there. And then he said, "Yep, lovely. Okay, we've got a few other people looking too. I'll come back to you." Now, here was me. completely green, never run a business before, no real money to my name. Like, he was taking a big punt on me. I'd only been in Queenstown for about a year at that point. I had no idea if I was going to stay long term or not, but I laid out my vision, I guess you'd call it now, for this little business that I wanted to start, and he chose me. And that phone call was the start of that business. I built and then sold that business within 18 months and sold it for a chunk of money, and then moved to Sydney, which led to me meeting Gab, my now wife, and having these beautiful girls. And like, I can sort of, that moment is kind of the start of my entrepreneurial life. Right? I'd had so many other different jobs before then, washing dishes, sweeping floors, shoveling snow, delivering packages. I'd done a ton of crappy jobs. Yes, I'd worked in some fun ones too in aviation, but that moment, I think, and I can picture it really clearly, even though it's 20 plus years ago, of sitting on the snow in the sun, chatting to Rex on the phone.
Thank you for sharing. Okay. If you could rerun the first year of your business, what would you definitely not do?
That's easy. Buy insurance. So my first business, that one in New Zealand, we spent a week fitting out the shop. It was an internet cafe, and we spent a week fitting it all out, and all my friends came and helped me paint and helped me build the desks, and I put the computers together. We had about 15 computers in there, and it was pouring with rain that week, and it was just great to be inside. The windows are fogging up. We're having fun. We had a party on which night was that? I think we had a party on the Sunday night to say thank you to all my friends, and all the lifties came and drank free beer. And then we gave away internet for free on the first day, bit of a marketing thing, invited everybody in, come and use the computers for free. So everyone knew who we were and where we were. Day 2, we charged, you've got to start charging sometime. And we were profitable that first day of charging in the business, but it's still raining. I'm like, well, that's why we're full. It's still raining. And there's a lake a couple of streets away, but it's a massive lake, but the water level normally is about 3 meters below the road, and the water's getting higher and getting higher. So I call Rex, my landlord, and say, do you think we should be worried about the water coming? No. I've lived here for 50, 60 years. Don't be daft. Never going to happen. Everything's fine. I woke up the next morning, walked down to the store, and the water was starting to lap at the end of the road. By 9:30, it was lapping at the front door of the store. So we took everything out. We had to take the desks out, the computers. Luckily, I had a friend, Theo, across the road. We took everything across to his tiny little flat, filled it full of equipment. Then we had to get the knife out and cut the carpet and roll the carpet up and take that out. And all of this shop that basically we built in a week, we had to take the whole thing apart. And then by 10:30, there was 2.5 feet of water in the store. Now, I thought I had insurance at that point because I'd called the insurance company and they said, yes, it's all good. They then called me back about a week or two later and said, yeah, but the water was coming up when you called us for the insurance. So actually it's void. You don't have any insurance. What? Yeah, but you said it was all good and you took my money and I had insurance. No, actually you didn't have insurance. Sorry about that. So here I was, 3 days into my first business, which is now underwater, and I've got no insurance. That was a really interesting moment to learn about resilience. And you know what? The hero of our story returns. Rex, once again, was bloody magnificent. He put as much as he could on his insurance. So the rebuilding, the paint to go on the walls, the carpet layer, who I had to bribe with a few cases of beer to come after work and lay the carpet because everybody wanted carpet laid in Queenstown in November of 1999. That was an interesting time, shall we say. But yeah, so pretty easy to know what I would do differently. Buy insurance.
Wow. Tell us about the artificial intelligence with Google and how can we use it today?
The best way you can use artificial intelligence right now is to use the tools that already use it. So Google has AI built into pretty much every single tool they offer, whether that's Photos or YouTube or Gmail or Google Docs, and definitely Google Ads. Right now, you don't want to be trying to build your own AI system. That's just too complicated, too expensive, very expensive to do at this point, because the AI engineers are in such high demand. They can pretty much charge whatever they like. And the best of the best are all working at a handful of companies in the US and China. So right now, the best way you can make use of it is to use tools that are out there. So there's a tool you can check out called usetopic.com. So USETOPIC.com. And there's lots and lots of tools like that, copy.ai, copysmith.ai, and they will help you write anything you need to write, blog posts or Google ads, Facebook ads. Inside the Google Ads system, without going deep into all the different things you can do inside of there, but knowing what you should pay each time somebody clicks one of your ads. That's a really complicated math problem based on loads and loads of different factors. And the machine is just going to be better and faster at that than you are. And there's a few of us that have been around for a long time, desperately hanging on and being control freaks. I am definitely a card-carrying member of the Control Freaks Association. I want to control everything, but that part of the game, the machine is just better at, almost always. There are exceptions, but almost always. So that's what the short answer of that, I would say, is go play with these tools that can do incredible things. Go play with a tool like UseTopic or copysmith.ai and just see what they can do. And don't think of them as something that's going to replace you. I think this is quite critical. Think of these things as tools that will help make you better, right? All of these things are just tools. The same way fire is a tool. If you use fire the right way, you can toast your marshmallows. Use it the wrong way, it'll burn down your tent. It's just a tool. So I hear from people all the time, oh, Google Ads, yeah, we tried that. It doesn't work. Doesn't work for us. We melted a credit card, useless. No, I'll never touch it again. Yeah, but how did you use the tool? Did you have somebody that knows what they're doing use the tool with you, or did you just try it once? I mean, that's like asking my 7-year-old to pick up a power tool and chop that piece of wood in half without doing any training. That's just bad things are going to happen. Things are going to go wrong if Frankie plays with a power saw. We don't want that. So it's just a tool. Learn how to use the tool properly if that's what you want, or spend the money, hire someone that knows how to use the tool. But that's where I would suggest your listener starts with AI. Find something that you need done inside of your business. That might be writing, it might be running ads, it might be something else. It might be analyzing the data in a massive spreadsheet. There are plugins now that you can pop into a spreadsheet and it will find the insights for you in that data. It might be summarizing text. Maybe you've got these 60-page reports that come across your desk and you have to sit there every day and read through them and create these one-page summaries of these huge long reports. There's an AI tool that can do that too. There are so many of these little tools for tiny little tasks that are popping up. Your job now is to look at all the tasks that you do on a weekly basis and go, which ones of those are repeatable, boring, horrible, mundane tasks? Let's go find a tool that can help me do that task. Maybe it can't do the whole thing as well as you do it, but there are tools out there that can help you do bits of those tasks so that you can get smarter, better, faster at doing the work. And then you can keep on leveling up and finding different tools and keep on improving and keep leveling up. And that cycle is not going to slow down. Try this on for size. The world is as slow as it's ever going to be today. Today is the slowest the world is going to be for the rest of our lives. It only gets faster from here. So
how sure are you with what is happening at the moment? I think everyone will be like, Google Ads, I'm starting online, I'm from my 9 to 5. How does this thing work? They said it's been there for a long time. Is it still really relevant?
Well, the answer to that is how many people are searching Google every minute of every day. Where do most people go? Think about how you use the internet when there's a product or a service that you want to go research, that you want to go buy. Sometimes you go straight to Amazon. Most of the time you go straight to Google, and occasionally you'll see an ad on Facebook that talks about this new thing and you go, oh yeah, shit, I want one of those. It's less than 50 quid. I'll have it. And you got that impulse buy. But most people, that's how we discover new things. We're not watching TV anymore. We might see an ad on YouTube, but we're watching Netflix and HBO Max Pro thing plus whatever that thing's called these days. Yeah, we are discovering products through referrals from friends, definitely, and through our social networks. But a lot of the time we go to Google. Google are still making billions and billions of dollars because people are clicking on those ads. So yeah, they are very relevant and they still work very, very well. But you want to get someone that knows how to use the tool to at least set it up for you. You don't want to try and learn, because when you're setting up that new business, you've got so many other things to go do that are so, so important. You don't want to have to take on another full-time job, which is learning this tool just so you're able to use the tool. You know, we don't go and learn how to become an architect when we need a new house. We hire an architect, or we hire a builder, or we just move and go rent a new house. But we don't try and learn everything about how to do that. And I think in business, we do tend to be rugged individualists. We do try and do everything ourselves. And sometimes we have to, right? Sometimes there just isn't the money to do that, or we believe there isn't the money to do that. But actually, you'd be better off long term if you somehow found the money to hire someone that's brilliant at that thing, get it done, and then start to profit from that area of business, and then reinvest that in your business. So I guess it depends on how you think about your business and where you want your business to go. Yeah, you've got to have that perspective.
What is one thing that has contributed to your success?
A whole lot of luck. I think I'm very, very curious. I love trying to understand how things work, and that's definitely been part of it. Yeah, I work hard. I put in the hours when needed. Right, as I said before, like, family is very, very, very important to me. So right now, before they're teenagers and before I lose them for a few years, that's super, super important to me. So I'm trying to put more time in there. But I say that, and then this week I've been in the office at 5:30 in the morning pretty much every day this week, getting stuff done. So there's a bit of hard work, there's a bit of curiosity, but yeah, there's a large, large dose of luck in there as well, for sure. And a wonderful, wonderful team, I should add, as well. I've been very lucky in the people that I've hired, but they do an incredible amount in this business. So it is certainly not me that is responsible for all the success.
Okay, in your businesses, do you have a mentor or a coach yourself?
Yeah, I have a coach, sort of an occasional coach. I've had a few coaches over the journey. I do believe in coaching, but like I say, I'm also kind of that rugged individualist of, I'm just going to do it myself for a bit. Every time I go and see my coach, I always come out of there better than when I went in. When I had her on a regular basis, before every meeting, I've got nothing to talk about. I don't know what I'm going to talk to Celeste about today. And then I would walk out an hour and a half later, just, thank God we did that. Thank God we talked about that. I feel so much better about stuff. So, but I read a lot, an awful lot. I'm looking at a bookshelf of about 1,000 books here in the office. And I consider some of those authors to be mentors. There are some I've never met. There's a few I have had the privilege of meeting. And there's a few in there that I really love the way they think. And I consider them as mentors. For $20, you get 10 years of somebody's wisdom in this little package called a book. It is such a good bargain that I basically made a rule many years ago, that whenever anybody recommended a book, I would buy it there and then. Even if it's not what I needed exactly right then, and even if I couldn't really afford to buy another book because I just bought 3 earlier in the week, that was my rule. If someone recommended a book, I'd buy it, just trusting that when I needed the wisdom in that book, I'd wander over, pick that one up, flick through it, and get something from it. And I do try and read almost all the books that I buy, but I do buy too many that I can actually read them all. So we have a library here in the office, and the team can help themselves to buy books. We have basically a blanket rule that says if there's a book that you need, just buy it. You don't have to ask permission, just buy it and then put it in the library when you're done with it. Authors, I consider authors as mentors, which is a strange answer to your question, maybe.
What is the most valuable thing your authors has told you?
The most valuable thing that those authors, okay. I don't know, really. I think maybe that thing that we talked about before, where don't work on your weaknesses. Don't try and be a well-rounded person, which is what we were taught in school all those years ago, but to work on your strengths, to try and be genius level at something, or even 2 or 3 things, but work on that. Find out what fascinates you and do more of that. I love being fascinated. I love where curiosity can take you. So I think, what have they taught me? Be curious, be fascinated, and become genius level at something.
What is the most important question to ask someone who has bought from you?
Who's bought from me? Is that what you said? You could ask them about, I don't know, the business questions, the profitability, did it work? How successful was it for you for your business? But I reckon a better question would be, was it fun working with Mike and his team? Did you have fun? Because if you did, then tick the box, successful. If we're not having fun, then let's find something else to do.
Let's talk about your business. Tell us more about it and how we can connect with you.
Well, we are a digital agency down here in Melbourne, Australia. We help businesses with strategy, but predominantly what we do is run those ads for businesses all over the world. So Google ads and Facebook ads, that's our bread and butter. If you're already running Google and Facebook ads and you're spending a few grand a month and you would like a second pair of eyes, you'd like someone to look over those ads and see what the issues potentially are or what the opportunities are to improve that, then give us a shout. You'll find us at websavvy.com.au. I guess you'll find a way to put that in the show notes, but websavvy.com.au. And if you want to learn, I have another business where I teach a few hundred agencies how to do what we do, and that's AgencySavvy.com. And there we teach Google Ads, Google Shopping, Data Studio, Facebook ads, all of that stuff. Basically, we don't give it away. We charge for that, but we teach people how to do what we do so that more agencies grow and get better, and they can help hundreds and thousands of other businesses so the whole thing spreads. That's why we do it.
And how can we connect with you?
Best way is through websavvy.com.au. You'll find me on LinkedIn/WebSavvy. And if you have a question about business, please reach out, ask me a question. I love the business of business. So shoot me a note on LinkedIn and get in touch.
Thank you for sharing. There will be more from Mike in a moment. If you are listening to this on a podcasting platform and you are encouraged by Mike's journey, please go to our website at onlinesuccessjourney.com. The site has tons of audio clips from hundreds of successful entrepreneurs' guests' journey, all there to help you find a path to your own online success journey. The site offers exclusive members-only contact, but you can join absolutely free and be part of this amazing online success community today. Check it out. That's onlinesuccessjourney.com. Now, Mike, I would love for you to share more with my audience if you are up for it.
Sure. Let's go for it.
Thank you. Tell us what your favorite movie is that has more relevance to being an entrepreneur.
Oh, my goodness. I can't remember the last movie I watched that was sort of remotely business related. I think one of my favorite movies of all time, the first one that popped into my head, other than Star Wars, which I've just been watching with my kids, is The Power of One. From a book by an Aussie author, Bryce Courtney. At least I think he's Aussie. don't think he's South African. Maybe South African. I don't know. But The Power of One, I absolutely love that movie. I love the music in that movie. And I guess it's kind of, I can rationalize anything, my wife will tell you, but I can kind of draw a line between that and the things we've been talking about, like resilience and passion. It's just a fabulous movie with a great soundtrack and a great story. So I'm going to stick with that one, The Power of One.
If your business was down to its last $100, how would you invest it?
If we were down to our last 100, I would buy a couple of cases of beer for the team and say, thank you very much. It's been a good ride. And what can we do tomorrow to turn this around?
What is the best business book you have ever read?
That is an impossible question because I've got 1,000 of them. And I'm kind of one of those people that whatever I'm reading at the time, this is the best book I've ever read and everybody should read it. Okay, the way I'll choose to answer that, if I can cheat and have two, the two books that changed my life. When I was starting that first business in New Zealand, when I was starting to think about it, before I had that phone call with Rex sitting on the snow, a mate of mine handed me two books. And I cannot remember how I thought about business and money before reading those two books. And they were The Cash Flow Quadrant from Robert Kiyosaki and The E-Myth from Michael Gerber. So the Cash Flow Quadrant was the why you would want to be an entrepreneur rather than an employee. And the E-Myth was the how and how to systemize a business. And those two books changed my life. So they might be a bit dated now. They were written, 20, 25 years ago. I think E-Myth was first written in 84. I actually became an E-Myth coach and consultant. I trained with Michael and he became a client for a while as well, which was quite fabulous. But those two books absolutely changed my life. They may not be the best books in the world, but I'm going to go with those if I can.
If you're going to keep a note to yourself in your pocket every day, what would be written on it?
Be kind, be generous, and have patience.
What is your next chapter?
What is my next chapter? Parenting two teenage girls. Talk to me in 10 years and see if I survived.
Are you not having another one?
No. No, we're not starting again.
Okay. You'll tell me something different in 10 years' time. Okay. Do you feel like you succeeded or like you're only on the way?
Oh, only on the way. Yeah. It's a journey. And the journey is a long way from finishing yet.
Will you ever stop?
No, definitely not. No. A friend asked me the other day, we had lunch the other day, and he said, what would you be doing right now if you had the proverbial 100 million in the bank account? And I said, mate, I'd be sitting here talking about business with you. We might be in a slightly nicer restaurant. We might be drinking slightly nicer red wine, but we would be sitting here talking about business. So yeah, no, I'll never stop thinking about, talking about, trying to help businesses grow. I love it.
Remind us once more time how we can connect with you.
WebSavvy.com.au or find me on LinkedIn/WebSavvy. If your listeners want to learn Google Ads, I've just put my entire Google Ads Fundamentals course online for free. So there's 40 videos. It's a podcast. It's a huge long page. It's a short book basically that's on this website, and it's all free. So if your listeners want to learn Google Ads, then it's my Google Ads Fundamentals course. So gafcourse.com. Have at it. Go learn. Go play with it. gafcourse.com.
Thank you. Mike, it's been great to have you to share your online success journey with us.
It's been a lot of fun, Patience. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a wrap. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Mike.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to Patience and her guest and want you to know there are hundreds of episodes available at onlinesuccessjourney.com. Patience would like to thank you for listening to the podcast, and she has a free gift for you on her website, including an audio compilation of her guests' best tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. Additionally, there are special clips of over 250 episodes that have never aired on the podcast, and they're only available to members of the Online Success Journey. Check the website and click on Join Now to get free and instant access. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed on your favorite platform to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review the podcast at iTunes and other sites. We appreciate your help and your willingness to share your journey. One last thing. If you're feeling a bit lost or overwhelmed on your own journey, Patience can help. Check out her course on clarity while you're at the website. Finding clarity is a great way to get back on the right path. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.